Welcome back, friends and family. 100 Thieves one step closer to punching their ticket to Masters in TSM. Certainly on the back foot as they try to fight their way and extend this to 3 series. You are watching the closed qualifiers for Masters. I'm Doug. I'm not Dan, I'm Doug. Look, the names are close.
I'm done. Come on.
That's Dan. This is Doug. We are calling all the action for you. Dan, we mentioned one map in the books. We talked about 100 Thieves and their ability to be clutch and really pull magic out of their hats. But what is it that you need to see from TSM other than, like, is there something that you've identified other than you just can't let Hiko do that, man?
Yeah, that is one of those difficult things, because if you look at it, if you went back, it's like the pistol looks really, really favorable for TSM in the first half. And there's, obviously other situations as well. There's like the 3 versus 1, which also looks super favorable. Like the other like massive Hiko clutch. And these rounds are like huge swing rounds that 100 Thieves are able to just win. So it ends up making the matchup look a lot more of a blowout than it should really be. And so I think that's one thing to kind of take into account. So, and it just reminds me again of the First Strike finals, is that you look at it and you're like, well, TSM, like, they didn't really do anything wrong. It's just in terms of all of the setup, it's just at the closing point. So going into Ascent, I think that TSM showed a lot of like a great game plan and just generally just great performance against Luminosity. It was just a really difficult game. Luminosity just playing out of their minds right now, and it actually kind of came down to, again, two, I guess, unlikely clutches out of LG. Otherwise, again, like, TSM probably would have won that game. So these are the things that sort of failing TSM time and again. It's very hard to quantify. It's very hard to correct. You can't really go back and just be like, all right, guys, let's just tighten up this bit. It's just too, this is not how it works. So I'm just hoping that for TSM's sake, they just get into the flow a little bit. They find their groove early on, and we get ourselves a 3 mapper out of this, because I think that would be awesome to finish on Bind and to get through Ascent with TSM showing a strong performance.
I would have to agree. I also personally love Bind, so I'm secretly hoping that is where the series goes as well. But as we mentioned, a pretty dominant performance by 100 Thieves on Icebox. Ascent, where TSM, again, Dan, I think you said it best. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. 100 Thieves just seems to do stuff that, quite frankly, they have no business doing. At least that's what we saw on Icebox a couple of times, but now we'll see how things pan out on Ascent. Very quick update on the wagers. 100 Thieves, 51% of you felt good about 100 Thieves. Congratulations. 49% of you are going to get an opportunity once again to wager and see if you walk away victorious. Go ahead and drop those predictions in the chat. Wager those channel points. Best of luck to you in your endeavors. Now, with this in mind, Dan, we saw 100 Thieves on Ascent, right? We saw them up against Luminosity, and there were instances in which they looked really good, and then there were other moments where they left a bit to be desired. Let's remove 100 Thieves from the equation here, right? Like, blank slate. Is there anything that you saw from TSM on Ascent that you kind of can point to and go, this might be something that could be exposed if they're not careful? Or do you really feel good, given that this is their map pick, given that historically they're good on it, that they should be able to pull this one out?
Yeah, I think definitely, again, I think what I said for Icebox, 100 Thieves is going to be a harder team to read because of the way that they play. Like, against Luminosity, there will be plays that are a lot more telegraphed. But with the way that 100 Thieves will be playing, that they're more default oriented. They're going to sit on their map control. They're going to pressure 2 sides of the map. They're going to try to fight for some areas. Steel's going to be lurking. They're going to be looking for opportunities to force you to rotate and then to exploit that, or they're going to be looking for opportunities where they're going to put you in a spot where you're like, oh, I'm on the defense. I really need some information. I feel like starved for information. I don't know how to make a good decision. And then 100 Thieves has set up some kind of a trap or a way to exploit that. And then that gives them what should be their next play. So that's kind of what 100 Thieves, I would imagine, will be kind of approaching their attacker side, with that in terms of their philosophy of their attack. So that, I think, again, is something that TSM should be able to work more comfortably against, because they have more space to do things. They have more space to play with. Whereas against Luminosity, Luminosity was like very happy to try to force things into their own comfort zone, which is to force fights. And we saw that that TSM had to react to that by either trying to have some kind of tactical setup to deal with that and just meet it head on, or play retake.
Right.
So there's gonna be a lot more play in the mid rounds, and I think that's gonna benefit TSM ultimately.
Yeah, I think so too. And honestly, I want to keep a close eye on Sabrosa, right? Like we know like a lot of the names on this roster, and we know what they're capable of, but I think Sabrosa on this Omen role, we're really starting to see him. I mentioned this at the top of the show. He looks really good on Omen, and he seems to get it more and more comfortable on that agent as time goes on. So I, for one, am excited to see how he plays this out against 100 Thieves, where, again, while Icebox certainly would not have suggested what I'm about to say, 100 Thieves, because of their roster changes, you expect them to be a bit more, I don't want to say vanilla, a bit more like fundamental in how they play, and it's less fancy, right? It's just like really sound fundamental. That's not a word. Fundamental Valorant.
It can be a word.
It just
coined it. There you go.
But for TSM, right? Like, how do they, on Ascent with Sabrosa, how do they expose that? Because they really weren't able to on Icebox.
Yeah, it's very difficult because again, so much comes down to the adaptation. So what positions does my opponent have, and what timings do I have to get into a position to deal with that? And it kind of all comes down to that, like as you said, and that's what the fundamental game is about. It's about having position to deal with what's coming.
Right. If
you don't have position, it's about finding out in with enough warning that you have time to rotate into a spot which is good to deal with what's coming. That's kind of what it's all about, and that's at this top level is what these teams are trying to manipulate at all times. What I'm really curious to look out for is the play arounds A main, because that's typically where teams can gain or lose value. Have utility exchange where a team is playing for the orb and farming the orb, and kind of team deny that. Some teams don't have the tactical setups to deny A main control from the attackers, and that's generally a way to get behind. And something from TSM I'm interested in, though, that can be a good way to deal with some of these defaults on the defense is cat play, is the cat play. Like seeing Wardell around cat, seeing what kind of setups they can operate from around cat, I think could be really helpful for them. So we'll just have to see as we have the map about to kick off. And this obviously is to qualify for Masters. So a lot on the line here. TSM, after having quite a hard time getting to this point, still desperately trying to qualify. But one of these two teams is going to be knocked out in this series and will not have a chance at Masters.
Which is just freaking insane to even consider. And again, 100 Thieves, they hold serve, right? A great performance on Icebox. Now we're going to get to picks for their agents, see if anything flashy comes out. Again, Ethan hovering, he's going to rock the Omen. Nitro on the Sage, at least hovered, but that's what we saw on Icebox. That's going to get locked in. Asuna, Hiko on Sova, right? Everything there as expected. Meanwhile, for TSM, you've got Drone on the Phoenix. Hayes once again rocking the KJ. Wardell, tried and true on the Jet. Sabrosa on the Omen. And then last but certainly not least, you've got Cutler on Sova. Very quick update for you all as we prepare to load into Ascent. If you haven't been watching because you've been hanging out with us, FaZe takes care of NRG on the other stream, beating them 2-1. So FaZe advances. They're going to go punch their ticket to Masters, which means there are only 2 spots left. Meanwhile, NRG is going to drop down. I believe they're going to play Gen G while they fight for a chance to make their way into Masters. Man, it's a good day. It's a dang good day.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of which, it hasn't been a good day for TSM though so far, and this is where it could turn around in the series. Let's get off to a good start. They're going to be off on the attack to begin with. We've seen some pretty violent pistols so far, and it looks like this could have the makings of a slower pistol. Just noting by having 3 players here towards the B side of the map, but the spike is just dropped by top mid. So that suggests that TSM are going to feel this out a little bit before they decide what they'll be doing with that spike. And starts off with that mid control. The forward dark cover does allow 100 Thieves players to kind of get flush to those close mid positions. And there's the orb getting collected on the A side of things here. Again, we talked about stacking those orbs on the Phoenix, especially on this map. It's really powerful.
Right. And you're already seeing TSM prioritize that. They've picked up the spike, jiggled it, handed it off. Sabrosa, you did spot one player, and I believe, yep, 100 Thieves saw it as well. Ethan swings, takes care of him. Wardell tries to get in. He's going to get tagged pretty badly before taking care of Ascent and getting away to safety. Kills traded on each side.
Yeah, quick reset into a fast rotation onto the B side. After that mid-action, oh, great stuff there from Drone. Nice drive-by frag onto Ethan. Will allow the plant to go down onto B. Nitro and Hiko coming through now. The old CS veterans. To see what they're able to accomplish. A recon dart is always great. You can bank it on that tree at the back. Get some good coverage of some of those positions. However, if there are players in the boathouse, of course, they will be obscured from that recon dart. And they know there has to be at least one player in B main, given how many there are at the moment.
It's just buying time, right? As long as he can keep Nitro entertained. If he wins the duel, great, and even if he doesn't, he just buys himself time, leaves Hiko alone. The floor beneath him, eating him alive. When Wardell swings out, takes care of him with the ghost, TSM win the pistol, and they do so, Dan, in pretty convincing fashion.
Definitely, and that's what you want to see. At the start of this series, we talked about it. I think everybody is rooting for TSM to make this really competitive. And this is, of course, the way that you want to start things off. Now, you know, we've seen Steel with some shenanigans previously with that Sheriff making things a little bit complicated on Icebox, but we won't see that here. And I'd like to see that, 100 Thieves will be prioritizing their economy. And this should be a straightforward anti-eco for TSM. Now, we did see the anti-ecos working out quite nicely for TSM until they didn't. And that was the turning point for Luminosity. And so if 100 Thieves have been watching any of TSM's matches, they will understand the pacing and the flow of TSM's movements. And you look at this beautiful, the Ice Orb onto tiles, trying to just break the timings and prevent TSM from working from tiles and top mid at the same time.
Yep. And in that, you saw 100 Thieves take a lot of that space. They posted up so aggressively towards the middle of the map, and then obviously you see that they've given it away. They've pulled everything off and gone over to A. Meanwhile, TSM feels really good about their chances over on B. Hayes has been there clearing stuff out. Now, as soon as he swings, okay. It was just a hair late, right? Like if the smoke was there, it would have covered it up. Nobody would have known. He swings, the turret spots him. That's going to be the cue for 100 Thieves to pull off. And now you see them start to rotate over. TSM should be able to get on to B just fine. And it's going to be on 100 Thieves with suboptimal weaponry to take B back.
Yeah, this might get a little bit crazy. We'll have to see if 100 Thieves can get, an entry and, they drop a dark cover onto B main. There we go. It does start to get a little bit weird because do the TSM players in B main try to push out of B main, or they try to hold on to this and just wait for as long as possible? And that's normally what you would want to try to do. And there is actually a flank coming through, and so the Groza will be able to help deal with that, or rather, well, he goes down, but he was the bait. So ultimately it works out quite nicely. A lot of time on the spike at this point. Some good damage done though.
Yeah.
By 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and for that, I love ultimately, TSM gets out of there. When you put yourself in a position, how many times, Dan, have we seen a team, they get on to B, that's great, they assume their post plants, but they huddle up in Boathouse, and especially in a situation like that where you want to ride the bonus into the next round and really blow up your finances, you get stuck back there. So for them, the round win, great. But the fact that they were also able to get out and survive and not lose anyone to the spike going off and potentially hurt their economy even more, I think that's icing on the cake.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we see the full buy round for both teams. And it might be a fast look here coming in from TSM in B main, heavy B main presence. And they're farming the orb there for Drone as well. That's the run it back, secured. And this is something that 100 Thieves will know. And 100 Thieves, they played A main actually. So they understand that they can push A main because they heard the orb getting picked up on B. They're expecting a run it back play, which means that the rest of the team will be there to run behind it, which means that A main and Gelato is free. So they're pushing up Gelato for free, but look at the rotation coming in here as well. So they should be expecting to run into something. There's Hayes with one. The transfer is pretty good there from Asuna. Picks up a second, and they get the info. 3 versus 3, and Hiko's hiding in wine.
He's going to get a chance at something special here. They stood there. Back. Wait. Nice shot from Hiko. He takes care of Wardell, and now the gig's up. Drone knows that he's there. Swings in the ult. Able to take care of him. It's going to clear out the rest of the site. He's going to come back. He's going to pick up the spike, and now he's left with the decision, right? He knows that they have some mid control at the hands of Subrosa, or he can commit to A. It looks like he's rotating off, and this, my dear friends, is an awkward situation. Ethan's gonna shoot him right in the back of the head. The nice shots onto Subrosa as well. The spikes down. Everything goes in favor of 100 Thieves as they take the first round of the half.
That's like so hilarious because it actually looks like TSM with that position in pizza think that they have the 100 Thieves' number,
right?
But 100 Thieves knew that he was sitting there in pizza the whole time because Ethan's just holding this, so it ends up being actually an anti-play, if as it were, and 100 Thieves come out the victors. So I love the rotations though. That was really fun, but just again credit the fact that 100 Thieves, they hear the all pickup in B main and they read so much info from that one all pickup. Yeah, it just pushed Gelato to success.
And keep an eye. This round isn't going to be the case, but we've seen Nitro want to, it happened a couple of rounds already, push through A main and try to take some of that A long control. And obviously, as you mentioned, hearing that ultra go off really kind of opens things up. And you can move with a very heavy degree of confidence. It may not have been there previously, but I want to keep a close eye on that because what 100 Thieves can do there is they start to condition TSM. Right? Like, we know they're going to push A. We know they're going to push A. You start to invest some resources that way because you have to respect it, and then you can either hit into that or swing elsewhere.
I'm liking some of the early round tactical choices here from 100 Thieves, like that Ice Orb to raise main shells into B main to punish all pickup. But TSM slowing things down, moving towards mid now. There's a setup here on Catwalk. Eco there with the shock darts is going to be able to find one frag with that, and setup here on Cat is still looking good, and it hasn't been dealt with. And Wardell's going to have to push forwards to do that. Nice double headshots coming out of the Blade Storm, and now with that set, it's a 2 versus 2. Time is of the essence. There's the pickup of the frag to get passage to the bomb. Spike now is available. Oh, maybe not anymore, though. That's so disgusting from Hayes. Straight in Hiko's face. And with that said, it's going to be a hell of a job now for Hayes. He's not got much time, and Nitro's going to get around the corner just in the nick of time to find the frag and lock it down. 2-2 now. These rounds are pretty action-packed, though, I've got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dan, I think you said it best. He didn't have time, right? Like, that was the difference maker in a 1v1 situation like that, where you have a little bit more room to work with, where you can kind of wait things out and kind of play some mind games. You have the opportunity to make some magic happen, but in that situation, the spike was down. He wasn't anywhere near it initially, and then the clock continued to tick away, so his hand was forced, really, and as we mentioned, that's going to tie things up at 2 apiece. TSM here on the attack. They've got the lockdown, so they have the opportunity for something. They're also stacking pretty heavily towards A. Wardell with the op. The tip of the spear. It's going to be something. 100 Furies there. That's the Q. Asunu tries to swing to punish it. And he drops.
So timely wall there to deny entry off at the back of the kill there from TSM. Droning past, trying to get some info on some of these closer positions. 3 players on site, though, is going to make life difficult. Drone doesn't care, though, taking down Nitro quite easily. It's now gaining some space for his team, and it's still not clear if they are going to try to commit initially off of this, but Drone has the backside. Still one player on the site. Finally, there's some frags happening here for 100 Thieves. They announced their presence, just waiting for the perfect moment to come out of those defensive spots to go for the engagements. And now Subrosa, he will certainly have been heard. You know exactly where he is. And there's a shock dart to just prove that fact. He's tapping away, and Hiko has knocked him down to 41 health. There's just very little to do here now for Subrosa. Ethan finally announces his position too. And again, that's just a masterclass in patience from 100 Thieves.
And I apologies, I misspoke earlier. It was the Asuna's swing there was great, right? The Hunter's Fury comes out from Hiko. Asuna swings at just the right time to try to catch him slipping, but Wardell, who was not in the initial lineup of the Hunter's Fury, holding that angle down with the op, he gets punished. But as you said, that wall is huge, right? That stuffs everything. They finally break through there, and Ethan, who I'm pretty sure he didn't move for that entire round, right? Like, once he hit that corner, he was just stuck there. Didn't move at all. Really set that sideways even more. Very well played by 100 Thieves. You mentioned the patience, and that was on full display.
Love it. The Ice Orb again combined with the Pain Shells to try to punish the orb pickup. That you can see they're really trying to time it. And it's causing problems for sure. And it's going to buy time where they're stuck trying to get this orb play that allows the drone to go through catwalk. Mid has been completely clear. They still know that there's players around A main. And with mid being totally clear, right this second, they're still very, very... they feel like there's a huge sense of urgency towards A main. But now that there's time gone by, they sense that there's time for that rotation. And so you can see that Hiko is putting some attention towards that tree position in catwalk again. So 100 Thieves, reading the pace of the rounds pretty effectively with their positions, using the wall to not have to put all their attention on A main as well. And now it's down to TSM to break this tree position.
They don't have much as far as weapons go. They do have the run it back in the lockdown. Be interesting to see if they use that Nitro. Oh man, Hayes turns around, swings, gets into business, dispatches him. But Hiko and Ethan get in on it as well. TSM certainly worse for wear. Wardell has just a sliver of health, but Cutler Shock Dart equalized things at 3 apiece. Steel pushing him through the smoke. He's gonna get a chance at one. Broza pushes back, but the problem is the clock continues to tick away. Nice shots from Cutler with the Sheriff. 9 seconds left on the clock. They have to go. Wardell's starting to get the thing down. Cutler drops. Steel goes in. The spike does drop. Steel with the shots. TSM just down to Sabroza. On the other side of the smoke, one. Isolating things down to 1v1. The Paranoia's got to come out. The Paranoia lands, but Steel swings with the 3K. Wins the round for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, great performance there from Steel. You'd almost think that in that 1v1, you'd want to be tighter to the wall, and I think that's why the Paranoia was in that spot to kind of cover Steel, trying to dodge and be safe. But Steel like fully committed, and that allowed him to completely dodge that Paranoia. So great stuff there from him. And again, I think credit to TSM as well. What they did was really smart. They had a very slow pace to their round. Eventually, when they are walking up cat and it's feeling like it's going to be an A hit, and they've completely cleared out any vision of tree with the dark cover, and they have also Hayes there trying to sell it at that time that you have a huge opening in the mid to B split, and that still didn't work out for them because of 100 Thieves' clutch potential coming through again. And 4-2 an advantage now as we move into this round, and it's a somewhat familiar start. Presence mid, presence A main, and having also Hayes looking after B main as well for TSM. Trying to see if 100 Thieves will give them anything early, but 100 Thieves less active than some of the previous rounds. And in seeing nothing there around A, you actually maybe think that there is a setup on tree, and that there's a retake play coming in. And given that 100 Thieves have a lockdown, that is the case. So TSM have enough information to know that it's all about tree control for TSM's for 100 Thieves' defense.
Right. But they do have, so
You should run.
there's the lockdown. There is a counter to be had, but TSM has
Spike dropped.
the ace in the hole that 100 Thieves does not, and that's the Hunter Siri. There's the second lockdown. They're going to go ahead and use the run it back as well as they try to get onto the site. And there, dear friends, is that Hunter Siri. That's going to take care of the lockdown. Meanwhile, Steel was one of the ones detained. That's going to give
30
TSM
seconds
license
left.
to get onto the site. So Broza gets all the way in. As he gets up top, he's got a chance at something great. Here's something special. Gets two, looking for the third. Line him up and knock him down. Sabroza comes big, looking for the fourth. Austin is going to trade him out. He's left alone. A man on an island in a 1v4. Asuna with 8 health left, too. He's going to swing. Great timing as he takes care of drone. But again, that is just one of many steps he's going to have to take if he wants to win this round for 100 Thieves.
And at the very least, charging up his ultimate with some additional kills is going to be very valuable. Trying to find something extra here, as you say, just squeezing out as much value as possible. Might not be too much left to squeeze out. And you got to credit 100 Thieves for just recognizing off of that drone info on A. Like, it's all well and good for us to sit here with the bird's eye view. We have all the information. I can be like, the tree setup is what the defense is playing for. And you look at that, and then you see that they actually drop a lockdown in mid to pull the Killjoy out of tree so that they don't have the timings that they need to actually successfully retake, and that creates a space which completely destroys that setup. So it's actually amazing how intelligent that is from TSM to do that.
100 Thieves going a bit aggressively here. They've got the Bucky, and, well, it's not going to be in commission for long. Hayes handles that aggression just fine. You see the dart. believe there was a paranoia as well. Either way, well handled by TSM.
And 100 Thieves actually have a res available here, so unfortunately, it's not a very resable position, kind of deep on B main. And I like this in the sense, I'm not sure how much it factors into the decision making, but finishing on a B play here does deny that res at all. Dell actually catching the rotation there, just holding position has allowed TSM to get an extra kill. And the thing is about that is that they know that 100 Thieves know exactly what they're doing now, which is why they have that forward position in the first place. And you know what? It doesn't really matter if TSM have supposed spray through the smoke, landing 2 headshots. Always very nice to see. Cheeky little frag right at the end there. But 4-4 is the score. Is yet TSM, you know, finding some success here, Doug. You know, they're looking a lot better. And I think it's that previous round with the lockdown thing that impressed me very much. That's just a reminder of how well TSM can read the game.
Yeah, and that, I mean, you really, it's fun to, and oftentimes at this level, it's easy to point to like one round where things go sideways, right? Like we did it on this very map with TSM and Luminosity, where we pointed to that one specific round and then things turned very quickly. That very well could be something that has a drastic impact on the landscape of this map as we're tied up at 4-piece. TSM here showing a bit slow, but they're showing something towards B. You see that smoke across the middle, much like we've seen before. Waddell's going to take Cat. TSM in control of the middle of the map as they mull over where it is they want to be. Oh.
Pretty scary though, lots of presence there shown by Waddell, even if he misses the shot. Lots of movement coming in from TSM, though, towards B main at the same time, and mid as well. So it does feel at this point, I think, for 100 Thieves, especially with that push from Steel, that info play, he picks up Hazed, and Hazed has been lurking. So that's a huge tell here in the hands of 100 Thieves as to what TSM are doing. So the TSM are in a weird spot because they're going to be, they know that their opponents know what's coming now, I think. It's fair to say. So it's going to be hard for them to pull this off, but they just have to go for it.
Right.
We'll have to see if it's going to work out.
They've got to commit. They've taken the middle of the map. That's the one silver lining for them, but Oscar seems to be able to hold it off just fine. Nitro does as well. He's going to get away. What a firing squad from 100 Thieves. TSM, you mentioned that look forces them over onto B, but the truth is, Dan, 100 Thieves stopped that when they still had 2 members on A.
Yeah, absolutely. They just knew exactly what was going to happen, and it's such a dance in terms of the information game on a map like this. And so far, you know, 100 Thieves and TSM, they're both doing a pretty good job, but there are certain spots where when you get into that point where there's only so much time left on the clock, it eliminates so many options for you as a team, and your opponents will then be able to read you much more. So it can get tricky. And it looks like we're going to start off here for TSM with lots more presence towards this A main position. And the orb is collected. They're onto drone. Doesn't get the running back off that though.
No, but they are going to push Steel back, and they're going to flood onto the site. Steel, had to look at the Omen ult, and he gets dropped. Ethan trades one out as well. The 103 out from, oh no! From Hiko as Asuna, just, I don't know how he survived that. He ate that. But TSM have gotten onto the site. 100 Thieves, if the numbers disadvantage, Hayes has 4. As Cutler gets spiked down, he's going to use the lockdown as well. This round looking so good for TSM.
Yeah, it's a good thing that he hesitated on the lockdown in the end, because it looks like it's going to be a pretty easy cleanup with all said and done. Great stuff there from TSM. As you say, you know, really cool entry. The way that the timing worked out, because the pace was much quicker than it normally is, Steel was not really expecting to be caught in the way that he got caught. He was really out of position. And as you say, that Omen ult was a very strong punish for Steel. He was there at that timing of the round by himself.
Right.
So fantastic punish coming in from TSM to equalize the score 5-5. And this really is a close game at this point. A couple rounds left in this first half. And again, you know, if you guys missed the first map, TSM got blown out of the water on Icebox. They must win this map to force it to a third to stand a chance to qualify for Masters.
3 ultimates in the pockets of TSM, 3 impactful ultimates as well. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves currently don't have that same luxury. No heavy aggression, and you know, it was interesting. Steel had played the op on this exact same spot the previous round, or 2 rounds ago. Now gonna have the Vandal drone using the run it back. He knows exactly where to peek. What value out of that run it back as he takes care of 2.
Yeah, that's really awesome to see from Drone, completely clearing out the A side all by himself with the ultimate. And they haven't even used the lockdown or the Blaze Storm just yet, so that is a huge win. If they can save that for the next round, that's another with a huge punish. Really working on a retake here now. Here comes Nitro from the back on Cat, but it's dealt with. And that Cat setup is proving quite problematic here. Ascent trying to do what he can with the satchels, but TSM convert, and indeed, actually the lockdown will be burned right at the end, but still looking good here for TSM. Late recovery in this half, but it is looking strong.
Now, yeah, this was my concern. 100 Thieves, they're broke, bro. They don't have any money. They're going to bring in a Bucky, a Judge, well, 2 Buckies now. But they certainly don't have what they want to go into this final round of the half. Meanwhile, TSM, they're going to have an op in the hands of Wardell, and they're going to have rifles across the board. And, I mean, they're sitting on so much money, they could buy probably 2 rounds of everything at this point and be fine, but certainly not ideal here if you're 100 Thieves. I want to keep a close eye to see how they play this out, even given some of that deficit. The battle between Steel and Hayes on A long continues. No blood has been shed quite yet.
You're worried if you're TSM on the kind of weaponry that's 100 Thieves is carrying right now, because you know that they've got some of these weapons that are very powerful at these close ranges. So you got to find a way through the choke points very quickly, and you got to find a way to enter a site with dealing with these choke points possible. And speaking of which, Wardell actually just gets caught on a horrible timing. It's just unfortunate. You just can't predict that. And that's going to be a way in for 100 Thieves. Now, again, we talked about having your options limited. And right now, the options are very limited for TSM because they have lost mid control. The only control they have is B main. And so they're almost forced at this point to reset with no time on the clock and run to A or through mid, or they force the issue into B. There's no good option right now for TSM because TSM have a lot of utility remaining to slow down anything they do. And they're suggesting the reset into mid or A, and they're going back to B here.
TSM has... Oh boy. All right, this is going from bad to worse for TSM. Nitro gets 1 with the Sheriff before dropping. Sub-Rosa drops as well. It's just onto Cutler. He gets onto the site. He is not going to get the spike down. He is going to swing. Takes care of Hiko, but he's going to drop. The Judge that we teed up at the beginning proves to be too much for TSM as 100 Thieves take the last round of the half. Folks, we're going to cut to a break. When we return, the closing half of Ascent. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear friends, to the second half of Ascent. 100 Thieves and TSM knotted up at 6 apiece as we move on to see what 100 Thieves can do on the attacking side. Doug, Dan on the mic with you as we're 5 seconds away from seeing how things play out. Now, a quick, very quick reset. TSM down 1-0, losers, decider, match. TSM wins, they go on to master. Or, well, TSM wins, we force map 3. TSM loses, 100 Thieves goes on to Masters, TSM out for the tournament.
Yeah, really fast approach here from 100 Thieves, straight through to market. So Brozer with the lurk, though, he wants to find that timing on the flank. Not able to find it just yet. Teammates will be holding things off on the site in the meantime. And it's not looking too horrendous, but just as I say that, 3 players dropping instantly for TSM on site. And it's looking like a scary prospect here. Steel with the lurk with the Sheriff. Loving the Sheriff pickup from Steel. And down to Wardell here in this B main position. Does have some assistance coming through. He's got drone on his 6. But I don't like the look of this. This is tough. They know they're both going to be coming from B main. Holding tight to the site.
There's no exit for 100 Thieves. They kind of have to huddle in, and TSM, they're gonna go in. Great shot from Wardell to take care of Ascent. Drop things down to a 3. Dash across. 100 Thieves holds them off. They win the pistol in the second half.
That's a good start, and it's I always like the very fast mid and then to market pushes. It's always a lot of fun, and it's pretty simple as well to execute, but just quite effective. You're able to split up the defense quite nicely and not have to force your way through the B main choke point altogether. And we're going to get there's no Ares from Steel. I always like the Ares pickup in these situations from Steel. He's one of those players that he'll use all of those kinds of weapons, like the Guardian, the Ares. Like he'll find weird spots to find to use those weapons, and it's always a treat.
Nothing doing here. Also, no shenanigans, no Ares from, we usually see a Sova playing B with one of those weapons. Certainly not going to be the case either from TSM. See 100 Thieves trying to clear out wine, create some control across a long tree is open. But you see, my gosh, you see TSM, as soon as some of that utility went out, you saw Cutler, you saw Wardell rotate back over towards Heaven to ensure nothing's coming out. You see the smoke starting to stack up. They're fully convinced that there's something is happening over on A.
I have the spike.
Yeah, they're not willing to go out and get info because they have B main control, so they're just going to sit on A. And the B main control is going to have to be everything. Because if they push, then they're in a spot where they're going to likely give up a frag. So they're just pushing it to chance right here on TSM, and sometimes it might work out. The classic, not quite getting the frag that Drone was looking for.
30 seconds left.
But he has bought enough time here, especially with this dark cover on the B main position. They're going to have to force their way through it, I would imagine. Otherwise, they allow the defenders of TSM to get a rotation into the site. And look at the wall coming through here. That's lovely there for Nitro. Bulldog able to get some angles here. Maybe wanted a little bit more space to play with. They're actually going to challenge that angle. 100 Thieves will be able to clean everything up, though. And yeah, there we go. TSM, they unfortunate not to get another couple kills out of it, but ultimately, 100 Thieves played that pretty well. And we move to 8-6 now into the rifle rounds. A couple Spectres and Bulldogs will still be hanging out, though. But ultimately, this is where TSM needs to start making their mark, and it's always hard, Doug, on the defense of a map like Ascent. It is hard to take the initiative.
Yeah, so we saw the Ice Orb into the nades. Keep a close eye on that on B main, because Asuna's 1 point away from having that showstopper. So I wonder if they're going to play for that. To see the smoke coming out, Asuna swinging around. No Ice Orb this time around. Looking to be a bit more quiet about it, but that certainly is still the outcome that they want. Asuna's going to get his hands on that showstopper. That is a round-changing ultimate, especially in a situation where the attack is trying to ride the bonus and really ruin the opponent's economy. That's a big one.
Yeah, and we see the reset off of that B main or pickup. Moving up to Catwalk, and it's just enough to just pop the showstopper and not even fire it, and it will clear out players from positions as they fear getting caught by it. So that kind of power to that ult, as well as you see it with the run it back, where people will run away from it
Right.
because they don't want to fight it. It's the same kind of effect. So we'll see it look. We'll see a look on that, I think, around this tree position, possibly. It depends on what setups they otherwise would like to use here. It's all about also in this game understanding what is the best bang for buck in my utility. And indeed, we're going to see it used for the site entry there. Ascent able to get it off onto Wardell. That's a huge pickup as well. Wardell not able to dash away in time. However, TSM looking to hold on to things here as 100 Thieves failed to make their way into the site with the spike.
Well, not only that, but they drop it in a terrible spot where TSM has control, right? It's just down to Nitro there, and they can just squat on it. A huge 3K from Sabrosa to stop the bonus. TSM get back on the board.
Nice hold from them. It was a good round, I think, in terms of how both teams played it. But TSM hitting their shots, and it's good to see. You know, in terms of the ultimate economy here, we can see that they have a slight edge. Eco won off the Hunter's Fury, and we see the blades ready for Wardell, which he might choose to get so that he can have an operator in the following round. And you know, I am curious of TSM's philosophy against 100 Thieves here, because a team that's very default heavy, there's a lot of value if you have good tactical setups to disrupt their defaults. And we can see here that 100 Thieves put a lot of presence towards A main to get that A main orb control. And in the previous round they did this, but they did it towards B main. So they have this like pocket of players looking for the orb control. And then they usually reset off of it. So Boombot plus drone feels very scary. It feels like the push is going to be coming in, but the spike is actually towards the B site.
Yeah, and for Wardell here, if he can continue to get a couple of those picks, the fear is gone, and you handle that aggression. But the thing is, look at the mini-map. Look at TSM. They're starting to pull off. Hayes is the last one kind of staying. Asuna gets a pick on the Wardell, and that should be a cue. Like, guys, the play is on A, but it's not. The gig's up. Nitro gets another one onto Hayes. Now Drone has to rotate back, but the wall's going to be up. He's not going to have a way in. Meanwhile, the spike is going to go down. TSM are left scrambling as they try to book it back towards B as soon as they can.
Yeah, and they got info as to where every one of these players actually was as well, because they had the steps running away from A main, and they spotted 2 and B, so they have all the info. It's a pretty good guess that Sova's coming through B main or late mid. And there's that ult, so now they know precisely where the Sova is. Eco with that very annoying Hunter's Fury, and they're gonna try to down here. He's in some trouble here. He's gonna have to fall back and try to keep himself just alive. His presence is more than him trying to actually pick a fight, doing a lot of damage. And TSM are struggling to make their way in. Just Sabros is the last man standing, and there you go. Great hold coming through from 100 Thieves. The Jukes were fantastic in that round. They really sold that A hit, and I mean, you can't blame TSM. You really can't.
I mean, the writing was there, right? Like, you saw everything that would lead you to think that it was just so well played by 100 Thieves, and then the post plant was great as well. Hiko using the Hunter's Fury to really draw attention away from TSM, because like you said, Dan, they have to respect that. They have to go towards that. Keep an eye on Nitro and Steel here. We've seen how much 100 Thieves is willing to play around Ultra. They have 2 members away from Ultimates here.
There we go, TSM looking to hold on to this B main control, but this time they won't be able to make that work out, and that is quite difficult. And you can see right now that TSM are now walking quite a few players towards A main. They know that they have to do something here. I'm actually curious if they're going to push this, because they do need to, I feel like they need to get info somewhere, or they need to just gamble stack something. That's usually what you want to do in a situation like this.
Right.
And they've got that control now towards A main. So they just spotted that there's nothing there. But there's a problem here, because if you don't see Gelato, this is exactly what can happen. A team can think, well, they just cleared A main, so they're going to go back, and now we're going to get a timing on the site. But in fact, Wardell sticking around makes the difference, and he gets a multi-kill to dash to safety too. And just like that, TSM swing things back in their favor.
The spike's down, 100 Thieves are at a spot where they can easily pick it up and then decide where they want to play things out. Also, keep an eye on Ethan. He's taking cat control. This could be a devastating pinch onto A if the timing is right. They're going to have somebody. Nico, come back, pick it up. Ethan's there on tree. He's able to get just one left on the site. Sabrosa by himself, a man left alone, and a man dead. 100 Thieves have control of the site. It's just Hayes alone here in a 1v3. The spike goes down. He's healthy. Dan, he's got utility, he's got plenty of armor, he's got the opportunity to do this here, but he's gonna have to go huge. You see Ethan playing off the site, the darts there, fancy footwork from Hayes to keep it alive. Asuna drops, Hiko does as well, and Ethan stops the clutch from TSM, win the round for 100 Thieves.
Great effort from Hayes, though. That he made something that was truly impossible look very doable. And well, that's going to be another round, though, in the bag for 100 Thieves. And they are already a map up in this best of 3. And they're looking pretty damn good at the moment. TSM, it feels similar to the game against Luminosity, where you feel like TSM is doing a lot right. You know, TSM in that previous round, they lose a player early on. They have a great reaction to make an info play. They stand strong at A main, make it look pretty doable. But again, in 100 Thieves, already playing out of their skins at the moment. Another A main control play coming through from TSM. Going to spot through to Gelato. I think if they spot further, they'll see the turret, which is a huge tell. Just seeing Steel is a big tell as well. You know, the Killjoy. You know, Steel is lurking in most cases, in most setups.
And I like, you see Ethan just dropped a smoke on top cat. Kind of buy them into thinking that there may be something going on mid. Meanwhile, Hiko clears it out with the drone, but the hit's a hit on to B. There's a lockdown that's going to be used. No Hunter series. See if they can clear it out with some shock darts. Nope, stays alive. Just long enough. Just enough to keep them back. Asuna swings out, takes care of Hutler. Hayes has to drop back. But the thing is, there's nobody watching from CT here. This was the exact same play we saw last time. They're preventing if somebody's watching in CT, or excuse me, the defending side. Nobody was there this time around. They can funnel in, take care of the player detained, and really blow the round up. A flawless one for 100 Thieves as they continue to push the matter, as they continue to put the finishing touches on this series, and continue the road to Masters.
Yes, it's a tough one too, because it's crazy to think 100 Thieves have the luxury to be able to burn the lockdown there and still have the ultimate advantage. They've got a res, a showstopper. There's the Omen TP as well, which is we've seen how powerful that can be, right. And especially on the attacking side for entering sites or for doing fakes, stuff like this. And then TSM, all they really have right now to work off of is maybe the retake game, and maybe playing like heavy tree setup with Killjoy to retake A. And that allows them to do a variety of other things. I don't know that I have time to go into it. We do have a main control once again. And 100 Thieves have shown time and again that when they take aiming control like this, they may make it look like they're going to pressure and then push onto a site, but that hasn't often been the case.
Right.
And it looks like they may even just contact in here.
Oh, they're going to do it. His hands down there. Stopper. Asuna goes in. Asuna doesn't connect, but Ethan does. He takes care of Sub Rosa, but they get onto the site. Now you see members from TSM working their way up towards heaven. Also keep an eye on Hayes. He's in tree. He's left unchecked. Also, on top of that, you got to keep an eye on Steel, who is on the lurk. Excuse me. The lockdown comes out. Asuna goes in aggressive. Asuna takes care of Wardell. The paranoia is there. The boom bot leading the way as Asuna looks for more. Hayes and Cutler get a couple apiece. Nitro is tagged up and stays alive for now.
And Ethan's the only one that didn't get detained. He's got to survive here, and he survived for just long enough to prevent his teammates from getting taken down in A main. And now it's down to Hiko and Nitro, and they are going to do a great job there, holding things down back to back on A main. And that was huge. That was a huge kill from Ethan. I think that protected Hiko and Nitro. The timings, of course, would have been tight, but TSM, it was so much just for Hayes to hold on to tree, to have something for them to work off of on the retake, and that was it. The lockdown got dropped, and they didn't convert. And now they're looking at a horrifying situation. 6 rounds in a row. Oh, sorry, 5 rounds in a row is what they have to do just to get to overtime, to keep themselves alive. And they've got 2 Guardians out. They're on light armor on 3 players. 1 player doesn't even have armor. This is a very bad situation for TSM.
Very bad indeed. Seeing Wardell pop that Blade Storm, try to take some early control towards B main. Sure, there's nobody pushing up, and it's interesting. You usually see Steel in this spot where Asuna is, where you see the spike and a lot of the investment of personnel elsewhere. And Steel's the one who's usually on the lurk, but this time it's Asuna who's holding things down. Hayes goes big in the middle as he gets 2 numbers in favor of TSM here.
He's rolling back the years. Oh my god, he is just crushing in this series. And that's going to force the res to come out. And that's going to force the swing. They want to punish that res. It's just scary because they had a lot. Hayes is just playing deathmatch right now. Beautiful work off of the Vandal. And he is still confident, holding out there. No fear. 23 health. There's only one man left standing is Hiko. And Hayes does not care. He wants to shoot everybody in the face. And here comes the late lurk through from Wardell.
Surely not, right?
Silence.
Surely not. Hiko.
Well, there you go.
Hiko gets one
30 seconds
onto
left.
Wardell. He's got the spike. He's got 30 seconds, so he has some time. He also has the ultimate. The problem is you have to somehow sneak onto the site, get the spike down, and then stay alive long enough to be able to use your Hunter Security.
Enemy remaining.
He's got no freaking way Hiko does this again. He drops things down to a 1v1, taps, looking for the swing. He spotted Cutler, so he has a great idea of where he is, and Hiko does it again! Are you kidding me? Your first strike champions are going to Masters!
I'm sorry, but that's almost like, I feel like this is scripted. Is this scripted? Because Hiko somehow makes that doable. Hayes just annihilated everyone in mid, and it devolved into this 1v3, and they knew where Hiko was the entire time. How is it? And so that's not really supposed to happen, but it does. It just seems like the writing was on the wall the whole time from round one. In fact, on Icebox, when we saw that first pistol, the Steel and Hiko just doing stuff like that, it's just crazy. And that's going to be 100 Thieves qualifying for Masters, and unfortunately TSM eliminated from the chance at Masters and this time around, and that's sad for all the TSM fans out there. But for all the 100 Thieves fans, of which there are many, I'm sure this is a very, very good day.
Dude, like we straight up said, there's no way, right? Like surely not. Surely he doesn't do it. We teed it up. It was not an easy situation, right? But Hiko once again showing mastery, ice in his veins. The dude just does it again. As Dan mentioned, 100 Thieves going to Masters. Let's take a look at the bracket. Let's take a look and see the road that they took to get here, because it wasn't easy. Dan, like, let's be honest, it was dicey. It didn't look like they were going to be able to pull it off, but freaking A, they do it. They 2-1 T1, they 2-0 TSM to make it to Masters, and now they're awaiting the winner of Genji and Energy, which is happening on the other stream right now, for money, baby, for big money.
Yeah, really great performance from them. And again, they're doing it with a player like they it's not like Ethan is not an amazing player. It's just that he's very new to the game, and they swapped out Dicey, who's playing very different roles than I think what they're going to get out of Ethan. So they're really switching a lot up within the team. So, it just comes down to the fact that 100 Thieves, they have this clutch element to them, which just time and again gets them out of sticky situations. And Hiko is a big part of that.
It's unreal. Let's take a look at the Mike and Ike sweet play of the day, and go ahead, take a guess. Who do you think it is? None other than Hiko. And the truth is, you have a cornucopia of picks to choose, of plays to choose from, but we're going to take a look at the very last one. Hiko getting the best of Hayes. You've got Wardell swinging around with the Blade Storm, dismisses him. And that's just to get it to a 1v2. Bro, that was a 1v4.
Oh my god. And it's not like they're playing bad setups necessarily. Like these are just ridiculous duels that Hiko continues to win time and again. And oh my god, I don't even know what to say.
Like, what do you say? What do you do? Like, it's just unreal.
Well, there you go. That's Hiko. For you, that's one of the reasons why he's so successful when he streams as well. This guy is he's a veteran, and the amount of casts I've done where I've had to cast some chore cast these clutches of Hiko goes back so many years at this point. I hope we get another 5-10 years of clutches out of him, because he's fantastic.
They're always so freaking much fun to watch. Again, 100 Thieves, they do it with a brand new roster. And Dan, we talked about this at the top of the show. If there was a team with the infrastructure, with the pedigree, with the resume of being able to make a pretty notable roster adjustment mid-race to Masters and somehow pull it off, it'd be 100 Thieves. And, well, freaking A. They did it. And they did so in pretty convincing fashion over TSM. The second round between those two heavyweights goes once again in favor of 100 Thieves. Congratulations to them. Very, very well played.
Definitely. I think they're definitely a team that's going to get stronger every series. So a team to keep your eye on, and they're going to have an extra few days to prepare for Masters. So it's they're going to be going into that looking even better. So I can't wait to see what that form will be.
It's going to be a blast. I want to mention my friends over at HyperX yet again. Every single day, billions of gamers, they wake up, they get something to eat, and then they sit down and they play a game as part of their daily routine. Console, PC, casual, or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we're all gamers, and the truth is HyperX is always ready to game. Huge thanks to HyperX, peripherals and brand partner for the first stage of the VALORANT Challengers Tournament. Dan, this has been a freaking blast. A pleasure to share the mic with you. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up the show?
No, I mean, it's a pleasure casting you as well. First time, I think it went pretty smoothly. So good job. And I think, yeah, guys, tune into. I mean, there's so many more excellent matches to come. So just keep your eyes peeled for more of that, and we'll see you on the next one.
We will. We're going to send you guys over to the other stream where the match is still going on. You guys enjoyed the show. Until next time, have a good night.